Now, it may sound like a script for a Hollywood blockbuster, but it's not. According to a Wall Street Journal report, cyberspies have penetrated the US electrical grid and left behind software that could be used to disrupt the whole system. Well, Chinese and Russian secret agents are believed to be to blame for this. Let's get across the story, try and find out a bit more about it, and talk to RT's Dina Gusovsky, joining me now in Washington, D.C. Hi there, Dina. Now, how serious really are these claims, and what's the evidence?
Well, the claims are pretty serious. As far as evidence, that's a different story. It is very hard to evaluate how real these threats are, and statements by U.S. officials are vague, to say the least. But nevertheless, huge headline in the Wall Street Journal, quote, "Cyberspies have penetrated the United States electrical grid and left behind software programs that could be used to disrupt the whole system." Now, this article claims that these quote-unquote cyberspies are coming from Russia and China, and basically their goal is to get their hands on those systems, on that power grid, on that electrical grid. And the article claims that these intruders have not yet sought to disrupt the system, but in a time of crisis, in a time of war, if the wrong people get their hands on the right buttons, it could result in a huge blackout and not good news for the United States.
Okay, well, what's the Obama administration doing about these allegations? What are they doing to counter it? And has there been any reaction to the claims?
Well, it's interesting because protecting the electrical grid is actually a key priority for the Obama administration when it comes to his cybersecurity review, which is actually supposed to come out in the next few weeks. So he has to really weigh his options whether or not to expand George W. Bush's program when it comes to protecting those private computer networks and private security networks. Now, United States Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano, she did tell reporters that the power grid was vulnerable, but when they asked her whether or not a threat had taken place, she kind of declined to comment on that. But you do have other U.S. officials saying, you know, the Chinese are everywhere. They're in our university system. They're in our computer programs. And the Chinese, of course, no strangers to accusations of espionage, if we remember what happened with the Canadian official and the Dalai Lama and that whole email thing. But when it comes to China and the United States, Kevin, China might not want to disrupt any kind of electrical system here because, let's see, oh yeah, China holds the majority of U.S. government debt, and it relies on American consumers for much of its business. So if you were China, you would probably want to keep every kind of electrical and power grid here intact. And then when it comes to Russia, it seems like anytime the United States speaks about espionage or spying, somehow Russia comes into the picture. You know, you mentioned that Hollywood script earlier. I don't know, is this a case where art imitates life or vice versa?
Well, hopefully the lights will be staying on very much in the United States. Thank you for that. Dina Gusovsky there in Washington, D.C. It was good.